Everybody, it's now 2 o'clock on this Wednesday. This is Wave 3 News meteorologist Brian Good. Thanks for clicking on Storm Talk here in the video blog. I got a lot to go through and I have a limited amount of time, so I'm going to dive right into it. I will say right off the bat, there's one piece of data I'm missing here when it comes to the weekend forecast, and I should be getting that after the video blog is taped, so I'll be adding that to the written blog once it comes out, so look for it there. All right, as always, case, here are the outlooks for the next 3 days from SPC. Today, it's quiet here, as you know. All the actions across Texas. And as we head into tomorrow, it's Texas. And as we head into Friday, it's Texas and Kansas and Missouri and Arkansas. So there is a little more of expansion here as we head into Friday. And that is our system we're going to be tracking that as we head into Saturday. All right, but quiet, really nice and quiet, really in the short term. In fact, our main issue in the short term is going to be the chance of whether or not we'll see some frost that could develop. So far, the radar is quiet. We've had some clear skies work their way in, so things look good there. It is breezy outside. We got gusts now 28 miles per hour, so not 40 to 42 miles per hour like yesterday, but it is still breezy. It's a colder wind and a drier wind, too, that's working its way into the Ohio Valley. So let's talk about our frost potential first. Here are the sustained winds forecast by the time we head into, say, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. In order to really get frost, you want to stay below that 5 mile per hour threshold. Calm is perfect conditions for frost. You can get it in some cases up to maybe 4, maybe 5 miles per hour if you're in more of a sheltered spot. And you see the models are right there on the edge when it comes to sustained wind potential. So it's right on the edge here where the winds could be a problem if they don't relax enough and could save us from having frost. So that's issue number 1 that's on the fence. Issue number 2 would be then, of course, cloud cover. And the way it's looking now, perfectly clear skies. In fact, the models are taking us all the way down to around 36 here in the city, in some areas into the lower 30s and a few isolated setups. So the way this is looking here is, here in the city of Louisville, I think we're probably going to average out between 37 and 39 because the heat urban effect that we usually see here in Metro Louisville. But once you leave the city limits, southern Indiana, even central Kentucky, if you're one of those sheltered areas, you know who you are. You're the ones that usually are colder than the city anyway. You have the best chance to see some frost develop toward tomorrow morning. The Weather Service is analyzing data now. If they feel it's a wide enough area, they'll put out a frost advisory in the next couple of hours. But keep in mind that in Louisville, it's going to be a little more iffy, but everybody else would have this chance. I think it's a pretty good chance here the way it's looking. The wind factor is going to be the deciding issue, it looks like, because I think we'll have a clear sky. By the way, there is going to be a chance to see some meteors later on tonight, about 10 an hour. It's a Lowry meteor shower. It'll begin peak time right around midnight tonight. Much more on that coming up on the newscast, but just want to let you know that right now the sky looks good for that over the next 24 hours. All right, during the day tomorrow, another cool but sunny day. Temperatures close to 60 degrees. The sun may get us above 60 here in the city of Louisville itself. 50s, though, elsewhere. And then we're back into the 30s again as we in early Friday morning, although I don't know if we're going to be as cold as what we're going to see Thursday morning. So kind of iffy there on that one, although the winds will likely be lighter. All right, so that's the frost issue. In fact, as we end into Friday morning, you see the center of high pressure, which allows for those calm winds, is located to our east. At that point, we start to get more of a southerly component to the wind by early on Friday. So the window is there for frost, maybe Friday morning, but I think tomorrow morning, by all means, looks to be a higher threat. It's just that wind factor. All right, so let's leave that alone. So nice weather between now and Friday afternoon. Saturday morning, we have an area of low pressure, the one that you saw that was producing the outlook for severe weather Friday in the west and western areas, Kansas all the way down to Arkansas. Here's that low pressure. It will have a warm front with it. It is forecast to come through the area just in time for the mini and main marathons and, of course, the balloon race Saturday morning. Now, how intense that rain is, we don't know just yet. Warm front rain sometimes can be very, very light and steady for a while, then we dry out. But rain chance is still pretty high, it looks like, though, for Saturday morning. I know runners like that. Okay, as long as it's light rain, they can handle it. Temperatures likely to be in the mid-upper 40s. Once a warm front comes through, and here's where the changes have been the past 18 hours, really. We started to see signs of this yesterday. Last night, more signs of it. Now we're seeing more signs of this, to where the area of low pressure is now looking to track enough to the north of 64 to allow the warm front to clear a good chunk of our area. If the warm front does clear most of our viewing area, we get into that warm gradient here, and with that low pressure so close to us, that's going to put us in severe weather territory for Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening. I'm going to show you the NAM and the GFS and how they are handling this, all right? First off, let's talk about that gradient. I talked about this yesterday. I mean, such a big difference from one end of our viewing area to the other when it comes to temperatures. Well, the trend has been to push, again, that warm front more to the north Saturday afternoon to allow more of the 60s and 70s and even some 80s to develop here in western Kentucky and the Boot Heel of Missouri. I don't think we're getting into the 80s, but some 60s and 70s possible with our viewing area right in here. Louisville, south and west. Once you go north of Louisville, though, it drops off fast, where the warm front will likely stall, and you guys may get stuck in some upper 40s to mid 50s. So still very tight gradient. It's just that Louisville is a little more on the warmer side of things when it looked yesterday. We have opening night at Churchill Downs Saturday night, so a lot of questions here on how things will play out. So I know we're watching this carefully because there's going to be a lot of people there at Churchill Downs. So here is the NAM model when it comes to winds aloft. You can see the area of low pressure Saturday afternoon, early evening. Decent winds. It's not off the charts, but strong enough to produce the potential anyway for strong damaging wind gusts as we head into Saturday afternoon evening. You can see where it cuts off, though, right along where the warm front is itself. That's when you drop off the wind fields. Here's the GFS. Slightly more north with the low itself, not far from them, but more north to allow the warm front to make it all the way to Cincinnati. Therefore, the warmer air actually could make it all the way into Madison if this is right. And decent wind fields, I mean strong wind fields, right across West Kentucky, very close to Paducah. Again, this is the GFS. Going back to the NAM, this is the energy, basically. The CAPES is what we call this for instability. And I'm showing you the raw data here, so I know it's kind of hard to read, but this is the hard meteorological data, so I wanted to share it with you guys. This is the nerdy weather stuff that we look at. And it's showing CAPES. The NAM is, for this area, over 2,000, from Louisville down to Nashville and Paducah. GFS, very similar, about 2,000, 1,500 to 2,000, and goes up to about 3,000 once you get toward Adair County down to Nashville. So very unstable atmosphere once you get over that 2,000 and especially 3,000 mark when it comes to CAPES. So instability is showing up. In other words, the model's trying to say that some sun will likely break out. You know how that goes, though. We don't get the sun, you don't get as unstable, but right now all the models are hinting that idea is pretty high. Here's the EHI. This is the ability for storms to rotate. We look at this for the chance for maybe some isolated tornadoes. This is the NAM model. It's got a pocket of red close to us. That's pretty close to where the warm front is. Pretty common to see some rotating storms on the warm front, so that's not unusual. But it's focusing the main core for rotating storms south and west of our area, West Tennessee, West Kentucky. Here's the GFS. Since the low, again, when the GFS is further north, it brings that threat more north as well. So there would be more of a threat for isolated tornadoes West Kentucky and Central Kentucky along and west of I-65. Here's the moisture and the lifted index. Now, lifted index is basically a scale that we usually use from 0 to negative 10 on average. Once you go 0 into the negatives, you get lightning and thunderstorms. And the closer you get to negative 10, the more intense the thunderstorms can be. Once you go into positive numbers, it's just rain. No lightning, in fact. Well, the NAM is forecasting a lifted index of negative 15 in West Kentucky. That is just wow. Now, the NAM has a tendency to exaggerate, but that's pretty wild to see a negative 15 lifted index in West Kentucky. For us, it's about negative 8 here in Louisville, and a little bit higher the more south and west you leave Louisville. GFS, it's about negative 7 here in Louisville and about negative 11, negative 10 to negative 11 area as you get into our southern and southwest counties. So you see the trend here. Overall, it's aiming for the highest threat for severe weather to be right in through here, along and west of I-65 and basically along and south of I-64. West Kentucky, West Tennessee, it looked to me to be much more of a prime spot. They really need to watch out for Saturday afternoon and evening. Once you get into I-65, the threat begins to ease somewhat because the low pressure, as it's moving from Illinois eastbound and actually moves more southeast, is weakening. So as the low moves southeast, it is losing its punch. So the question is, how much of a loss does take place as it moves southeast? And we don't know that yet. We just know that when the low pressure is at its prime on Saturday, it will max out West Kentucky, West Tennessee, and then Central Kentucky and Tennessee is a little more iffy, depending on which model you look at. So we'll see how this plays out once we get into time. All right, so there's a chance for severe weather Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. If that low shifts back to the south in the future model runs, we're back in that colder air. It's nothing but a cold rain all day. That's not good either, but no severe weather. So this is a big shift. I don't want to knee-jerk here on too many model runs, but at least we've seen a trend in the past 12 hours to go warmer. That's why I want to make sure we get the word out that we're watching it and stay very close to the forecast. Expect changes. After this storm system on Sunday, we're seeing signs of some cool weather as we head into Derby week. It's hard to tell how cool yet. We try to warm up with Derby Day. Let's hope that happens here, but too early to talk about rain chances, but at least there's a sign of a warm-up.